Howdy everybody, welcome to the Chatbox Vale. We are live from YouTube, coming to you from TV8 Studios here in Vale. I'm Liz, we are the Chatbox. My guest, well not my guest, this is my permanent guest. This is Jen, the best sidekick I could ever ask for. And we are super excited for today's show because we have somebody very special. Heads Up for Hope, and if you haven't heard about that, that's a local organization here that gives back to our community. And this is Elizabeth Sullivan. You are on the board?
Yes.
That's amazing. And
Yes.
we know you for a couple of years now through a lot of theater productions and a lot of silly stuff, but I love the serious part that you do for our community. And I was reading a lot about Heads Up for Hope, and the one thing that I kept noticing is that it kept saying that there's a trigger-free environment. Now, I kind of like that because a lot of people get triggered from, I mean, the wind can blow and some people can get triggered. You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember when that wind blew that one day. So how do you work that out?
Well, can I give you a little background?
Absolutely.
Heads Up for Hope. Okay.
Yeah, because we want to know exactly what you do. I know you deal with traumatic brain injuries as well as a lot of other things.
Right. So this was created out of a need that was not here and that is still not here, or resources. Heads Up for Hope was started by myself and 3 other people because we were all touched by traumatic brain injury survivors. I have a son that is almost 29 years old next week, and he has a traumatic brain injury. He had over 10 concussions. He was a competitive skier with a ski club, and then he went to VSSA, the ski academy, and it was his junior year in the Aspen Open when he fell from the sky from 80 feet.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So I was trying to find resources for him and help for him, and through just talking around, I came upon these other people. There's another woman that started it with me, her son, hockey player, so concussion after concussion after concussion, and those were back in the days where the coach would say, shake it off, and they'd throw him back in, football, lacrosse, hockey.
Wow.
So we'll talk about return to play because it's all set in stone now.
That's my question. Why would you even? But I
that's
guess
what we used to do. There's a gentleman on our board that has a traumatic brain injury. Before the roundabout at Edwards, where the gas house, he was riding his motorcycle, and a girl texting flipped into him, and he flipped off his motorcycle.
Wow.
So that's number 3. And then the 4th board member and founding member is a retired OT. So
What's an OT?
Occupational therapist. Okay. So they know a ton about therapy and
healing.
And healing. So we had nobody to go to, so we decided to create this support group, which is a group we meet twice a month at CMC, so they give us space for free because we're a nonprofit. And like you said, back to the trigger word or non-trigger environment, we wanted these people, whether they're survivors, we call them survivors.
Well, without a doubt.
Yep, and then they're caregivers. So I would be considered a caregiver because I'm a caregiver of my son, right?
Yeah.
So caregivers need information and support too.
Absolutely.
So we say you guys can come twice, and then it's a very great group, and people can say what they need to say, where their struggles are. We try to give them the resources that they need. Sadly, in this valley, there's not a lot of brain injury resources, but we're here to change that.
That's so really big.
We started in 2018, so we're going into our 6th year, and every year we get bigger and better. We have over 100 members.
Excellent.
Wow.
And not all the members come at once, because I just said to 2 of the board members today, I said I had a great conversation with this kid that was working on the mountain in Beaver Creek, and he came to us all last year. He's back in Minnesota, and his dad says he's doing so much better.
Oh,
so what you do is you try to, a lot of brain injury people, so just to educate people, we call it the invisible injury. So let's say you broke an arm, you broke a leg, you
have it in a cast or something.
Exactly, and people can see that injury.
And your brain's floating around in there as it is.
But with your brain injury, you can't see that.
Right.
So what happens is then your behavior is not so right. And then people are like, are they on drugs?
Okay.
Are they...
because they're not acting the same as usual.
Right. So we cross-populate big time brain injury to mental health.
Oh, I love this.
Mental
this is big.
behavior.
Yes.
And people, like Mitchell locked his keys one time in his car right in front of Starbucks up here. I had AAA. I called AAA. They came. The guy was like, "So is your son stoned, man?"
People
and I
are
was
ignorant.
like, "No, he just has a brain injury, and he forgot his keys were in the car, and he locked his keys in the car." So we're trying to educate people how to look at people differently.
And
right?
have a little bit more tact when you're
Compassion.
not sure if somebody is going through something. How about not making an assumption and saying something to hurt? I mean, and those weren't too hurtful because it is Colorado, but it is painful because you're dealing with something that your son's going through and your son's going through it, and nobody needs to be labeled as something that they're not just because they've gone through something.
So it's enlightened my knowledge
Right.
big time, because when I see homeless people now, so the statistics are over 50% of all homeless people have a mental deficiency
Right.
or a brain injury.
Wow.
And so now when I look at a homeless person, I look at them entirely
different
different.
way.
They don't want to be on the street.
Right.
They don't want to be begging for money, that sort of thing.
I mean, there's a pride. We could get into the homeless conversation all day. There is a pride amongst them too. It's insane. They're very proud,
Right.
and they're getting by,
Right.
And it's amazing to see how proud they are. It's just a remarkable thing. I'm glad that you brought up that it is geared towards mental health as well, because first of all, who knew how many brain injuries were going on here? Now everybody's falling down out here. I mean, between the mountain
Right.
biking, and the
Right.
skiing, or just
Right.
being someone like me who falls on their butt all the time, chances are I can smack my head. My husband smashed his head the other day so hard that he had like an egg. And I was like, please go get checked. Please go get checked. Because I know that if
And then do you think he has a concussion?
Well, I thought he might, but he...
So let's talk about that.
I would like to know, when do you get yourself... I think you should always get yourself checked if you hit your head.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, I know people that have not checked themselves, gone home, and unfortunately didn't make it because
Exactly.
something happened.
Exactly.
So what is the protocol?
There are symptoms of concussions. So
What are
let's
they?
just take your husband, for example.
Yeah.
So headaches, vision, balance, sensitivity, cognitive changes, and nausea. So like if he has a continual headache going on,
Okay,
if there's double or blurred vision, check him out for that. Check his pupils out.
Dilation or non?
I can't state that
Okay.
because I'm not a
Right.
ophthalmologist. No, is that? And I'm not an OB or a GYN either.
Or an OBGYN.
Or an OBGYN.
Thank God, by
God.
the way.
You have to have a lot of humor with this subject.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Sensitivity to light. So if he's on his computer and after a while he's like, oh, I can't be on the
Okay.
computer. Like, no, in the first 24 hours, you take people and you say, absolutely, rest, no limited activities, no screen time, absolutely for 48 hours.
Wow.
There's a lot of but there's a lot of kids that go home
Mm-hmm.
and they've rung their bell in some sport.
Or even playing at school, falling
Right.
over, rumbling or whatever they do.
Right. So there's a lot of things, but everybody should go in.
Yes.
So I have a crazy statistic that we got from
wanna know.
Vail Health.
I'm curious.
Just Vail Health, and it's during the ski season. They see about 70 concussions a day from
my
the
God.
mountain.
Oh my
so
God.
that's just ski season. Now let's take it
A day?
A day. Yes. Yes. So, and they say here's the protocol. Here's what you need to watch for. Da, da, da. If in 48 hours you're not feeling well, go back to the doctor, urgent care, visit your primary care. Another statistic that I'm sure Vale Health's not going to be happy that I bring this up, but we do not have a neurologist. So, right. And
But you should, right?
yes, we absolutely should.
There's no
Absolutely.
neurologist?
No.
Wow.
So we're trying to share a neurologist between Aspen, Glenwood, Rifle, and us. So we're working on that. These are all the things that we as board members, now there's 6 of us,
Yeah.
we as board members are working not only to educate the population, but to educate the people that serve us,
Right,
right?
the medical facilities.
The medical people, that, hey, we need help.
I can't
Our
believe that.
people need help. We have a lot of people that can't hold jobs, right? And therefore they have no income to help them with medical expenses.
Right.
So there's so
It's a
many
trickle
things
down.
that, right, yeah, it's a trickle down effect.
Right.
Absolutely.
I am, first of all, blown away by a couple of things that you said. Number one, there's not even one neurologist in the community, which is
No.
amazing. I think they should put an ad out for one or something, you know. I mean, if we have 70 a day just in the winter season, I would think that we still have plenty in the summertime as well. We could have a residency
Right.
here for somebody, and they would be very busy.
But you say, but how are they going to get paid? So the hospital justifies it as, we don't have enough, you know, Vale Health is a nonprofit. They don't have enough money to support a neurologist that needs, what's the average income of a
Wow.
neurologist? Is it $350 a year? You know, I don't know
Yeah.
that. So we as a group also are trying to do telehealth sessions for our people, either through Anschutz or Swedish.
Nice.
So by the end of this year, we will have that.
That's
Hopefully.
great.
Yes, so that if somebody's really in need and we
You
can't,
can tap in.
we can tap into this resource.
Oh.
So we're trying so hard.
Oh my
We
God,
do
you guys are
Colorado Gives Day all the
wonderful.
time. The first year we did it, I think we raised 1,000. Then last year it was 11,000. So we're like the little train that could.
Yes.
Thomas the little train. We keep chugging along. Plus, it's just awareness. Now we're working with like Speak Up, Reach Out, the Hope Center. So we're trying to cross market because brain injury is part of all that.
It really is, and we've had all of these people on that you've mentioned, and it's really great to know that everybody's tied in together, because I had no idea. We have so many nonprofit organizations out here that do good for our community. It's amazing. But you're the first and one and only for this type of experience that we're
We are.
having. You have 2 boys. Have you ever had to worry about anything like that with them?
Well, yeah, I had, soccer players and a goalie, and, I think that there was times where we couldn't do headers anymore because there's finally awareness in the community.
What's a
that there's
header?
these,
It's where
so you hit
the
the ball
ball
with
is
your head.
coming at you,
Oh.
and you see it all the time with professional
Yeah,
soccer players.
absolutely.
They used to do that all the time. I mean, I didn't know what it was called, but that always looked like it hurt.
Well, it's got to ring your
Yeah.
bell a little.
Absolutely. Well, and I have friends who had a nephew who was playing football, and he was constantly, getting hit in the head and all of these injuries that was going undiagnosed, and he ended up having depression from a swollen, undiagnosed swollen brain injury, and I can't remember what that's actually called. It's a thing that happens. And his mood started changing. He was completely not himself, and he ended up taking his own life as a teenager because he just couldn't handle anymore. And they were able to basically trace it back to once
The
through
brain injury.
autopsy. Yes, through
Yeah.
the brain injury.
So they weren't able to help him because they didn't really quite understand what was going on.
Well, no, because like you mentioned earlier, where it's just like, get back in there, shake
Yeah.
it off. And it's like, no, that's not something you shake off. You are actually doing damage to your brain. And I think you can see that through sports history, there's been injuries where, football players also end up having these issues. And
I should have done my homework, but there's that film of that NFL.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Yes,
about. Yes.
and it's a
Yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know what you're talking about. I just can't say the name of it.
Right.
But this is a very eye-opening conversation, because this is something that there could be people going around that they're not sure what's going on with them, and they don't know why they're feeling different than they had, and maybe they did fall off their bike. Maybe they got hit in the head by something. I one time got hit in the face with a Frisbee. I ended up with a concussion. I got smacked in the face from a flying frisbee. I'm little, so my bean head got concussed.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
back in Florida, so like I had a mom that was just like, oh, take her. But what I'm saying is, a lot of people have hit their heads and been like, oh, well, that was, I see birds. And then they go home and take a nap or something. And
Right.
what people don't realize is they could really have an issue that they should get checked out.
Well, it's interesting if we don't have a neurologist in town. Like,
Wow.
are people getting the right testing? Like, if they're having these ski concussions, and
Yeah.
We have to send everybody either to Glenwood, Grand Junction, or Denver. So, circling around to my sweet boy Mitchell,
Oh.
there was nothing here. I took him to a facility I'm not going to mention.
Okay.
And she said she did not know how to deal with a brain injured person. So she said, your son is bipolar. And I said, no, my son is not bipolar. My son has a brain injury and a severe brain injury. So she's prescribed. I still to this day have this little prescription because I never filled it. Because she said, you need to put him on this med because he's bipolar.
Oh my
and I said,
God.
no, he's not. So then we have every state has a great brain injury alliance. Ours is called Brain Injury Alliance of Colorado. They're right down, I've been there so many times, right at Colorado Boulevard and in Cherry Creek. So through them, you can tap into their resources. So through that, I knew how to get Mitchell a brain injury waiver. And that's where a professional person comes and interviews this person so that you can get resources and help
Okay.
if you have a brain injury waiver. Brain injury waiver is they are solidifying that, hey, you actually do have a brain injury.
Okay.
And you're going to need special services.
Right.
So that's how I got Mitchell that credential. And then through there, I was like, where am I going to go? We interviewed a couple different places in what's over there by Utah?
By Utah.
Grand Junction.
Grand Junction.
Oh, I was going to say some kind
Two
of
words.
casino.
I'm good at this game.
2 words, 3 syllables. So we interviewed places over there, but then I finally found this supportive brain injury residential facility in Denver. So he's in Lakewood.
Okay.
The woman that owns this house owns 6 of them around Denver. And he lives in a neighborhood, just plain Jane neighborhood, and he's in a house with other brain injured people.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And he's cognitively disabled. So sometimes with brain injury people, you get both the physical, where
Okay.
they're in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
you can tell physically, and cognitively. But my son is only cognitive.
Okay.
So that's why people are like,
Because
what's
he
going
walks
on
and
with that
moves
kid?
normal.
Is he aware? Is he aware of his?
Yeah, he knows me, he's aware, but he cannot work.
Yeah.
So the attention span of brain injury people is, oh my gosh. So let's talk about the dentist. So I found a special needs dentist in Cherry Creek, and she's wonderful. This is how you find people in your tribe.
Sure.
I'm like, so why are you a special needs dentist? And she said, because I have a brother that has cerebral palsy.
Wow.
So
amazing.
we get in and out in 20 minutes. She said, with our special needs clients, we know we cannot be in their mouth 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 minutes.
Right.
And Mitchell will have a moment where he goes, okay, that's it. I'm done. Get out of my mouth.
Okay.
You know, they get very agitated.
Wow.
So they do a quick clean, a quick scrub for 20 minutes, and I'm in the waiting room
if
and
he
I'm
needed
timing
root
him.
canal or
And I'm like, come on. Well, he did. And I don't have time to tell you all how many dentists I've been to.
Wow.
And we had to finally pull a tooth because we had to put him under.
Okay.
So with this kind of thing, they just get really, really agitated.
Aw.
Right.
Yeah.
Their attention span is not long at all.
Okay. And it makes sense because if your cognitive skills kind of waver, I can imagine your memory gets lost a little bit, and of course your patience is probably tested.
Yep.
And that's
totally.
probably why they can't pay attention for long or
Right.
sit still. I mean,
Right.
sometimes I wonder if I have one. I can't sit still. You know what I mean?
But that's totally different.
we don't have enough hours in the day to go there. But First of all, kudos to you for being such a wonderful mama and caring so much about your son, and not only just going above and beyond taking care of him, but you started an entire organization because of it.
That's because
That's huge.
I think the brain is amazing.
It is amazing.
And I have a mother who's 91,
Oh.
full on dementia.
Wow.
So I go from one brain issue
Oh
to
my goodness.
So I go visit them both when I'm in Denver.
Aw.
But the brain is amazing. So if you'll remember, which you cannot because you're so young, but back in the 50s and 60s, they really thought the brain could not restore
Heal itself.
anything, heal itself. So,
Oh, right.
But neuroplasticity, right? Now they're realizing, oh my goodness, this brain is a very amazing. So my little 30-second elevator speech is, what's the most important part of your body?
The brain, I'm guessing.
It's the brain, which is inside of the head, right?
Yeah, so if you
Because
bang your head, you might want to check out that beautiful tool that we have inside.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just find the brain to be so fascinating because if you really think about it, when we talk about neurological issues, here I always say here is the cognitive octopus.
Okay.
And from the octopus, look at all these tentacles. We have brain injury, TBIs. We have Parkinson's, which my dad died of. We have ALS.
Yeah.
We have the seizures and the stroke people.
Wow.
So like there's this umbrella of like, oh my gosh, look at this trickle down. So we are just one aspect of cognitive issues everywhere or in the valley. So that's why we're trying to come together with everybody to say, this is a major thing.
Yeah, it really is.
Cognitive health.
It really is, and I mean, I feel like even as people age, I feel like they also go through changes in their cognitive health. I really do. I mean, sometimes, like, we joke around sometimes about a memory.
Right.
But, it's really not that funny sometimes when you think about it, because it's like,
Right.
it robs you of some kind of joy that you might have had, or it's frustrating. And imagine if somebody is like that because of an injury, as opposed to maybe just not getting a little older, or we all have in our DNA if something comes about like dementia or Alzheimer's
ADHD,
or ADHD.
Right.
Did you pass that on to your kids?
So yes.
Yes. Do they have ADHD?
Well, they do. Yeah.
They do.
But
Yay, mama. No, I'm
I
curious.
say about
Dan,
that.
if it
So
gets
see,
passed
I
down.
don't think it's
It's not
I
genetic?
don't think it is. Absolutely not.
Well, it has
And
to
I
be.
always thought dementia too, because my ex's parents had full-on Alzheimer's. So my kids now are so worried about, and I've just done a ton of
You can get marker
research.
testing.
Yes,
Yeah.
marker testing, but also I've done a ton of reading where they used to think it was so genetic, and now really only 5% of it is genetic, and 95% of it is diet, exercise.
Really?
What do you do? Yes, and I think about my mom, for example. Her sister just passed away at 98, sharper than a tack. But yet my mom has this dementia going on. She's the first one in all her family.
Does she have a bad eating habits and stuff like that?
Those TV dinners back in
Oh,
1962.
They're still in her. they find storage and just hang
These
out.
kids do not know what a TV dinner is. But
You do. Yes, she's not a kidlet. She's a medium kidlet. But so when you see your kids with the ADHD, you don't think that came from you? You think it's just something that...
Well, no, I do. Like
I think it's got to have some sort of hereditary thing.
it's a little bit of everything. I 100% agree with you that there's environmental factors.
Yeah,
I think our
right.
food is garbage
Oh,
for the
yeah,
most
it's
part.
poison.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that we also, we grew up in a, especially if you do sports, like where we're eating out of Chipotle because after games and that kind of stuff, and doing like the fast, easy, dinner.
You're making me hungry.
Chipotle after.
Chipotle's not that bad. It's, the
Well,
other
yeah.
faster fooders.
And this, but it's just kind of like that grind of like not just like a full sit down meal or like
Sure,
having
you're
to
always
go to
on the
school.
go.
You're always on the go, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you're doing sports and you're trying to like I think. So I'm not saying that's causing it because I think they
Right.
were also working out. I'm saying that I don't have the right answer for you. Like,
Totally.
yeah.
And we don't. You'd
Well,
have to
we're
interview.
scientists.
You should invite somebody on to talk about.
Yeah, like, okay, do we know any, well, if we don't even have a neurologist in town, I don't see a scientist popping up anywhere anytime soon.
Maybe.
Hey, you never know,
It's
right?
just fascinating.
It is fascinating,
Yeah.
and I commend you guys for being strong, holding strong, and you say you're the little engine that could, but I think it's a powerful engine, and I think you need to go full steam ahead. Ooh, look at my little analogies.
Yeah.
So how do people...
Full steam ahead.
Chug it. Now I want a good and plenty.
Okay,
how
I'll
do
tell you what
people-
we are looking for.
Yes.
An angel donor.
Ooh.
An angel donor would be like Amanda Precourt with
Oh.
EVBH.
She's amazing. Yeah.
So she has experience in that, right? We are looking for someone that is connected with brain injury somehow, some way.
okay.
And we are looking for a wonderful person, whether
That's
it's
amazing.
yeah. So that's one of the things we're doing. We've also partnered with Vail Symposium, and I can't tell you who we're bringing in next summer, but it is a big headliner.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yay.
it's very cool. It's so
I like the way
cool.
she did that. I got racy in here for a second.
Imagine that, the three of us. So and then part of our three of our dreams is like to have a home just like, sorry, it just left me, but it's the Organization for the Women
Yeah.
down in
Okay.
Gypsum.
Okay.
It's Bright Future.
Right.
Right? Is
Bright
that right?
Future Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is like in the next 5 years, what do we
that's
want to be? What's our
amazing.
10-year? What's our 20-year? What's the big picture so that we can support all brain injured people
Mm-hmm.
and their caregivers? So I have a great example of there's a woman that comes to every single meeting. She does not have a brain injury. It's her husband.
Okay.
Husband refuses to come because he thinks he doesn't need the support.
Mm.
But he has all these behaviors, and by her just being in the room listening to everybody's behaviors, she's like, aha, that's why he behaved this way.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why, so
So it's kind of like an educational panel for people who either have the brain injury and the caregiver. And are there separate? Like, do you separate that out, or is
we
it one?
used to before COVID, but now we seem to be all together again. We also used to do meditation and
Oh,
yoga
I love that.
before our meetings before COVID.
That's wonderful.
There's two of us that are trained with Love Your Brain, and they are, the Brain Injury Yoga Institute.
So is yoga different for people with brain injury?
Absolutely.
So what would be the...
Never do a handstand, Liz.
I was going to say probably
headstand.
never going upside down.
No, we don't do that.
You probably
it's
more
very gentle.
Uh-huh.
It's very hatha, and it's a lot of breathing, which is
Nice.
the pranayama.
Yeah.
And so there's myself and another woman that's a PhD OT, and she's trained in it too. So we want to implement that yoga and meditation back into our
Wow,
meetings.
I love it.
It's just,
It's also
COVID.
calming for even the caregivers who are probably
Right.
so stressed out dealing with things that, and sometimes you don't know what
Because
another,
they don't
another
have
day
the
brings.
patience. Because so
Well, if it's a wife, it's
kind
hard.
of like how many times do
Or
I have
spouse.
to tell? I have to ask Mitchell 3 times.
Okay.
Okay, so what did you do today? Nothing.
Does Mitchell live at home with you or in
No,
Denver? You
he's
said?
in Denver
Okay.
at a residential.
Oh, nice.
facility.
That's really okay. I heard that and it went away. But so you're looking for something like Mitchell lives in, but you want to have one locally.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I love
But
that.
that's
All
going to
We
take
got a lot of big houses up
lot
here that
of
nobody's
money.
in. Those 10-10-2-2s, let's get them out here.
10 Tuesdays.
It's $10 million.
Yeah.
10,000 square feet, 2 people, 2 times a year.
2 times a year. Right. So, so the caregivers, they get support in a way that we could never imagine,
Wow.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Because you have to be patient. It's like me talking to my mom and she's telling me the same story over and over and over again. I went into her
How
facility.
do you deal with something like that? My husband does
my
it, he
mom,
doesn't have
my mom
dementia.
has a sense of humor that you do.
Really?
Oh gosh, yes. So I
love
go
it.
there the other day and she says, "Oh, this is my sister," and I'm like, "Thanks, Mom."
Thanks. I don't look a day over 80.
I appreciate like that. And then she went, oh, I meant this is my daughter.
That's
I'm like,
cute.
whatever. She's even asked me if I was pregnant one day, and I was like,
Yes,
wow,
I'm in Guinness.
wow,
I'm in
did
the
I
Guinness.
gain a little weight? I'm like, yeah, I'm in my 60s, Mom. I can't get pregnant. So,
Hilarious.
yeah, I deal with this whole thing.
Right.
I could be totally depressed about it, but it is what it is. And
I can imagine when you
never,
see
ever
the
gonna-
change in somebody, like as
It's
if you
sad.
were,
It's
if you had a
very sad.
spouse,
It's-
right?
yeah.
And then all of a sudden your
because
spouse
you
ended up
always
with-
wish them to be the way they were.
Right. Mhm. And
And
then
we
you have
so
to
we have a
deal.
grieving part. We have an angry part. I mean, I look at pictures of how Mitchell was even in high school, and he's completely different
Yeah.
now. And that makes me sad.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I
As
leave-
he gets older, does it change?
Well, see, that's what for me is exciting, because I'm never gonna, when people say, well, he is the way he's gonna be forevermore, and I don't accept that.
Good.
I absolutely don't
Good for
accept
you.
it. I work with a neurologist in a you know,
Yeah,
an
that.
OBGYN. I work with this great doctor
Hello.
out of Denver, out of Psych Denver, and we visit with him once a month. He's Mitchell's med management
Okay.
doc, and I love him, and he is amazing.
Nice.
And so for 2 years, Mitchell was on 6 meds. Now he's only on 3.
Wow. So you're right. This can
So
always change.
when people just say, "Oh, he's going to be like that way forever," and I go, "No, we're just every day, every month, every year, we're going to just
Good.
strive for a little better."
I love that.
I think
Yeah.
that's the best outlook
I'm not
and
gonna give up
attitude. Why would you?
until
First of all,
I-
he's your baby.
You're making me cry.
Yeah.
Aw. But I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
I
it's your
just
child.
got guardianship of him.
Oh.
And the judge, the magistrate said, "Oh, Mama, don't ever give up." And I'm like, "Not till the day I die."
My fingers have goosebumps
I'm
if
not.
that's possible.
I'm just not. He's,
That's beautiful, though.
But-
But I mean, all the people that's created this organization with you all have experienced something to a degree. So it's amazing when you can be going through life, all of a sudden something happens, and not only does their life change, but all of a sudden you have a new cause.
right.
And people who jump into a cause because of something personal, those are the people that make that cause worthy.
And that's usually the case, though.
It
When-
usually is.
Usually the
because otherwise, I mean, why would I go on a rampage for something that I know nothing about?
Right.
I would do something that I was relatively aware of or had experience with. That's why I give back, to people like with you with this podcast, because I have had a lot of mental health issues, and I can't be a therapist at this age. I'm not getting a new degree at anything. But if I can do something like this and bring on wonderful people like you and have Jen every week so we can talk about different people's needs and wants and desires, and there's something that everybody can benefit from, a different guest each week, then at least I know that I have some familiarity with it. And that's why we do it. And that's why you do it with me, because
Well, and to
you've
find other
touched
people
big-
out there who are watching that
Yeah.
are touched by your cause, or maybe want to
Absolutely.
help donate, and
Right.
So let me tell you one other caveat. That's
Uh-oh.
kind of a very sad caveat.
No.
Oh, no. So Mitchell is diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Oh, shoot.
Uh-huh. And everybody says to me, did that mental illness come upon because of the brain
Right.
injury? And
did it?
no one can tell you whether the
You don't
chicken or
know.
the egg came first. So he could have always had a propensity for something, and then this brain
Yeah.
injury, or how many, acerbated it. It just threw it over the sky, or vice versa.
Right.
So unless you study the brain, which we don't have enough time to get into CTEs.
Yeah.
CTEs, you've heard about the football players that have damaged their brains
Yeah.
so many times. And there was that sad story about the CU player. He left,
remember
then he
that.
came back to the field. So right now, doctors can only study the brain of CTE when a person is deceased. They're trying so hard to get it so that it is before the person is deceased. Like my father, kept saying, "Can we just donate your brain, please? Can we?"
Aw.
And in the end, he was like, "Nope, going in the ground solid."
Really?
Yes, yeah. which is fine.
Hey,
But-
it's his body, his choice.
Right. So, so I'm dealing with that on top of it. So we say, like, for a person like Mitchell, he's dual diagnoses. That's when there's two issues going on, and we just have to figure it out.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. That is a lot. And
Yeah.
you know, it makes you stronger. I know that. I mean, if you could be any stronger, you're a pretty strong, tough cookie as it is. But then to find out.
worked out today.
Yes, by the way, I've taken this girl's yoga classes before, and she can kick your serious booty. Serious booty. So I'm glad that we brought that up, because I know that that's something else you provide for the community. And I believe that yoga has more benefits to our mental health than we even know. I mean, I think the very first time I took yoga, I sobbed when I was done. And I didn't understand why I was crying so hard. And my friend who taught the class, she goes, let it out. I'm like, why am I crying? I didn't understand. She goes, you tapped into stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but what did how come I don't know what I tapped into? I need to fix it. But it is so cathartic. It's so healing. And it benefits everybody. And the fact that you're going to introduce yoga back into your meetings with these people who are either caregivers or they themselves have the injury,
Right.
I think that it can just do nothing but really good for all of these people, because it brings a calm to everybody, and they're all in the same arena. They all are doing the same exact things, the same
Right.
breath work,
Right.
the same stretches, and just feeling good.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a beautiful extra added bonus that you have added to Heads Up for Hope. And how did people reach out to you guys throughout the year, not only when Colorado Gives Day comes along, because I know that we have a lot of people out here. I know so many people that are always volunteering. I know a lot of ladies out here that volunteer, they give, they care, and they always looking for a cause or something to donate to. You know, hey, if I had like, you know, I'm really in a mood to donate $100,000 today. What can I give it to?
Right.
You know what I mean? But and I'm not even saying that much. Even people can donate small amounts.
We
because
ask all the
everything
time. We're
comes
like
in.
$10, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like our theater.
So how do people find you guys and reach out to you guys if we're striking a nerve with somebody today?
Sure.
And they're like, you know what, this is big. I want to take part.
So our website is headsupforhope.org.
Org.
And there's a donation page on there. You
Nice.
can donate right from there. You can see some stories. You can see our mission, our vision statement, all that. You can see who's on the board. So that's how people get to us.
And
And,
when you get-
on there are
sorry.
our meetings, and people can
Yeah.
reach out. We have an email, a phone number there for
Nice.
people to reach out.
That's when you get the Heads Up house, you'll probably need lots of people to come volunteer and maybe cook and do special things for these people. So I
Right.
think that's so wonderful.
And how often do you guys meet?
Twice a month on the first and third Tuesday of every month
Okay.
from 5:30 to 7 p.m.
Awesome.
at CMC, free parking. You just come in, and you don't have to register or
You don't have to
anything
register
like
your
that.
car.
You just have to, right, your car or your person, and you just come in and see if it's a supportive environment for you, which
Right.
it
That's
is.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm
we
sure
have
it is.
lots of people Zooming in.
Yeah.
Because we have a local guy that used to live here, and now he's in Florida
Oh.
because the care is so much better down there.
It is?
Oh yeah.
In
Oh yeah.
Florida?
Oh yeah.
Florida?
Yes.
Mental health?
He's in. He's
They
in
need a lot of doctors
He's in
though.
Jupiter, and that's where the Joe Namath.
Oh. Yeah, that's right.
facility
You're right.
is.
Yeah.
Think
Jupiter's
about-
great. I did radio in Melbourne and Vero, so it's ouch. Ah, I need help. My brain is right there. That hurt.
Oh, funny.
So this is just a remarkable conversation, because I didn't even realize that somebody could be wandering around, sad or out of sorts or depressed
Right. Right.
or even manic.
That's
for that
why you need to
point.
check on your fellow people.
Yeah.
Check on people, because you have no idea where they are
Yeah.
today, and it could be because of anything. So we need to check on our peeps.
Yeah.
I checked on a person a couple weeks ago. No call back. No call back. No go.
Ah.
Finally, I kept checking, and
Doesn't that make you
He goes,
nervous?
"Stop bugging me," and I go,
Aw.
"Okay, I'm glad you're still around."
I'm glad you're mad at me. At least it shows that you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't blame you, and I would be a pain in the neck of somebody that I thought was struggling as well. I would not. I'd be circling their house in my car, which I have done before. I know somebody that struggles with some issues, and
You got to check on these people.
when their kids call me,
You're right.
I go to their house and I will walk through their whole house and investigate and see and look around.
Well, you
and make
guys
sure.
know the stats of suicide in Eagle
Oh
County.
my God! Yeah, we
It's
got
just
those
how-
last. What is it? Last?
Right.
No, a couple of weeks ago.
Couple weeks ago.
Broke my heart.
So let's check on our people.
988.
Yep.
If you ever need to talk to somebody that is not,
The
if you
police.
feel like you're worried about the officer. But what people don't understand is people who are our first responders, they're human beings too, and they might struggle with mental health too. So if you did call an officer of the law, they are not going to. They're going to care
they're
about
not
you.
because
they're going to take care of you.
There was a time, I want to say 8 years ago, when Mitchell worked for the Mountain, lived in Tarns employee housing, and I couldn't find him for 3 days.
Oh, gosh.
So I had to go to the Avon police.
They're wonderful.
And I said,
love
could
them.
you help me? Because I didn't know where he was, right? And they are now trained so that they can spot
Let me tell you.
brain injury, mental illness. Our policemen are amazing.
Can I give you guys a really silly, ridiculous example? And I'm going to embarrass the hell out of myself right now. I was playing with some dogs, and there was a little, and I was loading in the bigs, and I didn't see the little jump right back out, and I was pulling out of Minturn, and Eagle County Sheriff's Department passed me when I just realized, oh my God, the little's not in the car. So I screech, don't care. I don't even think. I'm like, "Ah, I can't breathe. I go right into panic mode. I screech. I go flying around. Sure enough, this guy is like, what the heck is wrong with that? Comes and gets me. I jump out of my car. I'm like, oh, that's the time. He goes, get back in your car. He starts yelling at me and whatever. So I get back in my car, and he comes to my car, and I'm like, looking at him, like, and I'm hysterically. First words out of his mouth weren't like, what's wrong with you? You're crazy. Do you need an ambulance? Were his first words to me. Because I was obviously an emotional.
And you just said, no, but I lost a dog.
And so he goes, all right, where's your live? I'm like, oh. He goes, okay, I'll follow you. And he was so amazing.
See?
And
Yeah.
I did something really stupid in my car. But his first question to me was, do I need an ambulance? And I said, why? Because I'm acting really crazy. He goes, yes.
Yeah.
And he said, yes. I'm like, well, no, I'm freaking out. But once I see that dog, I'll be perfectly back to abnormal.
If the dog wasn't yours.
And we got the dog. He was really cool. We just went back, and there was a dog sitting there waiting for me. It was like, why'd you leave me?
Makes me want to cry.
I know, it was awful. But my point is that our officers here, cops, anybody, they care about us as human beings. He literally asked if I needed help with my frame of mind. He was not, he sure enough did write up that nice ticket because I deserved it. I was being an idiot. But the fact is that he cared more about my well-being before he
Sure,
cared
sure.
about writing that ticket and getting whatever, you know what I mean?
Yep,
So I think it's really important that we realize that if somebody's there to help us, they're not there to judge us, and they're not there to throw us in jail for having a mental breakdown, okay?
Right, right.
So what we have to realize is that it's okay to ask for help. A lot of people are afraid to ask for help because they don't want police to come, and that's where 988 comes in handy, and that's where a lot of other people come in handy. But just know that nobody's going to come and scold you for having an issue.
Yeah.
Ever.
Exactly.
Even if you have an alcohol problem and you can't get from A to B and you have to call somebody, it doesn't matter who it is. They're going to be there to help
What's your
you.
number?
My number 988. Is 988 or 911? Whichever one you can get to first. I'm not your DD.
Okay, we digress.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Let me put us on point.
Yes, always
figure-
live on YouTube. And so great thing to have you here, though. I mean, I'm serious.
Thank
This
you.
is a very big deal because, honest to goodness, we don't know what people are dealing with. And what we also have to realize is there's a lot of car wrecks out here. I mean, you can hit your head in a car wreck and think, car's fine, I'm going home.
Yeah.
You should always make sure you get checked because if in
Yeah.
a few days or even a week you start acting differently or feeling differently or your, like you said, even your balance goes, because if you have a brain injury, like sometimes I always wonder, do I have them because I sometimes I'll just get really dizzy and fall over.
Right.
Remember I fell in the river talking I just reached down and I got dizzy and I plopped right into the river fully clothed. But
She's like, I just fell into the river. I was like, what is going on?
fully clothed because I reached for a ball and I spun out for a minute and couldn't catch my balance. But what I want people to realize is that if you do notice extra stuff going on with you, or I mean, you know, like if you're not actually clumsy like me, that's one thing. But if all of a sudden something happened and then you're starting to notice differences in your balance or your speech, right? Your speech is a big deal. Or your vision, like you said, or your moods, or anything like that. It could have something to do. And if they catch it quick enough, they could possibly do something, as long as they airlift you to that neurologist, about it.
Right. Yep.
You know, I mean, what do they do in car wrecks when somebody goes to the hospital and they have an inflamed brain?
Well, then you're considered acute and you have to go down to Denver.
Okay.
So we never keep people
I've been told
here.
I was acute a couple of times. Sorry, it was really stupid.
So I think what we're saying is just be compassionate
Yeah.
about all people, you know, just kind of, if you think something's a little off, just maybe try to find the reason why.
Instead of saying, are they high? That was a
Right,
really
or-
ignorant statement.
Right?
Is your son stoned? Did they feel like an idiot when you said, no, they happen to have a brain injury?
And then he apologized
Okay.
profusely.
Good.
And I'm blessed that Mitchell doesn't have, like a lot of brain injury people try to get the pain away. So what do? They start drinking and smoking.
Oh.
It's a very common thing.
Really?
And
Well,
then,
doesn't that exacerbate it, though? I would venture to say, especially alcohol.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
they're like, okay, why can't I concentrate? What? And it, you know, that self-medicate is a big thing with people, right?
Yeah.
I'm blessed that Mitchell's never ever had an
for
addiction
him.
to smoking or drinking.
That's great.
Nothing.
No, that really
And a
is.
lot of facilities that I checked in to send Mitchell to, they were like, okay, we do rehab for this addiction. And I'm like, but he doesn't have any addictions. So that's not a fit.
Right.
You know,
So
I've
then you knew not
worked
to.
all over
well,
the country.
I mean, you did your research, which is amazing.
I'm continuing to
Yeah.
do because the house he's
Well, it's a
in
lifelong thing.
isn't the bees.
No.
You know, I'm still searching. My
Okay.
girls, I have 2 older girls. They are like, Mom,
So you have one
let's-"
son and 2 daughters?
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
You must be she must have been the most fun mom.
And I'm a grandmother. You knew that.
I did, but still I'm pretending. Like, what? But I mean, look at you. You look amazing. See, I think when you do good for people, it shows. Like when
thank
you're a
you.
good person and
Thank
you give back to
Thank you.
life in general, I think it shows on your overall person because you glow all the time.
That's
Aw,
You always
you're
have a
sweet.
glow. You do.
That's
And
nice
it's
of
not
you.
menopause, I know that. We're post that.
We're
stuff.
way over
We're
that.
welcoming them broken bones for osteoporosis. That's the next thing to look forward to.
Right. I'll come back and talk about that next
Oh my
time.
God, we should. Well, this is going to be the next podcast. Welcome to the podcast. We're going to talk about osteoporosis. Jen's the new main host because the other one's curled up in a ball crying.
Exactly. Oh, I love it.
But I mean, look, as we age, we are going to deal with a lot of cognitive things. But when things happen that we're not expecting, then it's a life-changing experience. It's changing for the human that it went through it, and it's changing for anybody around that human who are loved by those people. So for you, I'm sure it's added, okay, you have 3 children. So you're already dealing with a lot of stuff just being a mom. I'm not a mom. You guys are both moms, so you know what that is.
Right.
So you deal with just the regular, average, everyday stuff with kids. And then when you combine that on top of your son's injury, it manifests all these other new anxiety issues and stress levels and everything like that. And yet you are sitting here looking calm as ever. And I think it's amazing because you've obviously found some kind of balance in between working, loving children, and then Mitchell as well to have to deal with this extra thing that's going on. I mean, that's a big deal because I look, I don't have kids for a reason. I would have never been able to pull it off. So can't imagine having to deal with kids on top of having a child with a brain injury as well as now the new diagnosis.
Right.
That's a lot.
Sure.
It really is. But look, she's like, sure. I'd be like, oh, I'd be like, sticking needles in my own face
not.
trying to
You would not.
kill myself or something.
Yeah.
No,
that's
I don't know.
It's given you purpose, and
Yeah.
you know, like you're actually the advocacy you're doing is absolutely incredible, and
It
like
really
you
is.
are, you know, reaching out to so many different families and across like outside of our community because you recognize that. You know, it's going to take more. Like, we don't have this in our own community. So, like, you were literally, like, the work that you were doing is just absolutely incredible. And, like, it
Needs to be done.
absolutely.
So we need some branches to this tree is what we need, and we want to help in any way that we can. And we'll always raise awareness for any kind of organization that gives back to our community like this. So this is big. Heads up for Hope, everybody. This is a great organization, and I really did not. I learned a lot, okay, because I didn't realize that you can have a brain injury and it can lead to mental health problems. I don't know why I didn't combine the two. It's the brain, so it should, but it's not something that everybody can think about. And I mean, I've heard so many stories about people that land
And
on
I
the-
hear, not to shame anyone, but I hear story after story after story of families giving up on their loved ones.
Really?
Because their behavior is so bad.
So how do you give up on a human?
Because they test you and they, you know,
Okay.
we don't have time to go into that, but it
But I
just,
mean, for somebody to give up on their loved one, I mean, what do? Just put a paper free to a good home? What do they? How do they even work that out?
I don't know. We won't go into that.
I mean, I don't
But,
understand.
Right, I don't either. Well, like, a lot of people say, can you bring Mitchell back home to Eagle? And I go, but where are my resources? Where is my support?
Yeah.
See, that's what we're trying to get here in this
Sure.
little happy valley
Yeah.
is, hey, we need support.
Absolutely.
You know, the Hope Center now is so supportive. Had Speak Up, Reach Out, so supportive.
I'm so glad.
We're trying to get to that level.
You're there.
You know,
You're
it's
getting right
baby
there.
steps, but we're trying to get to that level.
Well, all
where-
the more for you to come on to things like the Chatbox. We should get you on TV8 on Good Morning Vale and spread the word on that
Sure,
show
sure.
and just make the community aware of this 'cause it's really big, it's really important, and it's eye-opening, like and mind-opening.
Right.
I mean, I feel kind of silly that I never associated the two together ever, until I spoke with you about this. But I mean,
It's because you won't go for a drink with me.
who's going to drive us home?
Jen.
Yeah, right. Prosecco. The word Prosecco is going to come across. But you know, the cool thing about all of us is like, you know, we enjoy life, but we don't overdo it because we understand
Right.
the compromises that we have to make for children that some of us have, or for the people that we love, and we're older and we're wiser, and you know, it's usually the younger people that feel invincible, and they go and they do, and they fly off their handlebars and they land on their face. And I mean, my brother was riding his motorcycle and he had to slam on his brakes because a critter ran in front of him. He flew off that bike and landed smack on his face, lost all his teeth, and the first thing he did was take himself to, but he was also, 50-something years old. He was smart enough to think about, let me take myself to the hospital because this can't be good. First of all, I have no teeth left, and I landed on my face. He did have a concussion. They did treat him
Right.
for that, and luckily he had some swelling.
Ooh.
Not luckily he had swelling, but luckily he
Yeah,
took
yeah.
himself in, so he had that taken care of, and then, he got himself fixed up. But I mean, there's so much responsibility that we have to take for ourselves before we can even take care of other people. So
Right.
if next time I fall on my face, I'm going to get checked. You know what I mean? Seriously. I mean, honest to goodness, you just have to really, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we don't take care of the other people around us. And then I need to be here in case something happens to somebody that I love, and I want to be able to be there for them, whether it's a friend, a family member, or my husband, or whatever. I want to know that I am healthy enough to take care of somebody. So I would do that right away now.
Right.
And I probably wouldn't tell. I mean, I smack my head a lot.
Elizabeth, are there any other people or partners that you're working with that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh,
or
I
to
love that.
We are in communication big time with Vale Health.
Okay.
And like I said, the Hope Center and Speak Up, Reach Out. We have had a great conversation with the Vale Valley Charitable Fund.
Nice.
So slowly but surely we're trying to reach out to all these foundations and organizations that could align with us. We're trying to explain what we do, what we need, and how we can all help each other. So out of 250 nonprofits, something like that.
There's over 250 nonprofits.
Yeah, so we're just trying to educate, other organizations because they don't know who we are.
Right, absolutely.
So that's a process.
And it's not their fault because there's something
No.
This
Absolutely
is obviously
not.
like not like a hidden thing, but it's something that, look, I didn't know. And
Well, that's
so
because
this is
we
great that
don't
we
have a
talk
lot of
about
money to advertise, right? So
Right.
you don't hear us on the radio. You don't hear, you see, we do run an ad in the newspaper all the time for our meetings, but it's just for the meetings.
Right.
It's, we need the Vale Daily to do a huge piece on us.
Well, everybody
We
should.
need, thank you. And
Everybody should.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I just mentioned come on TV8 and do something for Good Morning Vale. I mean, I think that this is something that we need to keep discussing. We need to keep talking
Hi,
about.
we have a visitor.
Ready?
We do.
God, baby.
Sweetheart.
On that note,
My supportive dog.
this is the support dog.
This is the brain injury support dog.
And she doesn't have a brain injury either, but
No.
I
So
just want
thank
to
you
thank
for
you so
allowing
much.
me.
Oops.
Yeah, and thank you for allowing me to come on and tell the story.
Oh, absolutely.
And
And I mean,
it's a
I
beautiful
learned more
story.
about you. We both know Elizabeth through the Vale Valley Theater Company. We all do productions together. You guys are amazing. And so to learn something new about you, but it's profound and it's big and it just makes me respect you even that much more. And it's just a wonderful, beautiful thing that you and all of these other people that are on the board that have constructed this community.
We have an amazing board.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. It's just heads up for hope, everybody. And traumatic brain injuries are not anything to laugh at, and they can lead to a lot of mental issues. So let's get on that. Let's get on the bandwagon with this, whoop, whoop, and get heads up for hope out there. And just so you know, repetitive is important. So you got to get, I mean, and I'm not insulting any form of medium, but the more you can be repeating yourself about things, the better. And it is nonprofit, so you could probably get a lot of play on that and get
And we
yourselves
belong
out
to
there.
Vale Valley Partnership,
Oh,
so
nice.
that's huge.
They just won a huge award.
Right.
Yay, congratulations.
Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap it up. This is a Friday afternoon, really wonderful episode of the Chatbox Vale live podcast coming from TV8 Studios, live on YouTube. And we get to be seen online all the time and after Good Morning Vale on the weekends. So please tune in and get yourselves educated and really just informed and learn something new today through Heads Up for Hope and Elizabeth Sullivan and all the wonderful people that take care of us here in our community. Thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome.
Jen Saito, thank you very much for being
Jen
here. We love
Saito.
you guys.
Love you,
Lots of
Elizabeth.
love, everybody. Keep loving your heart, and I hope something magical happens for you guys this weekend.